Hey everybody, this is Rosh, and you are watching Helix Basics. This is a YouTube tutorial series I'm putting together to help new and experienced users program their Line 6 Helix Floor. So a little about myself. Once again, my name is Rosh, and I build and program a lot of guitar rigs out here in the LA area, as well as online. So my clients include Steve Vai, Leppard, Melissa Etheridge, Perfect Circle, Bush, Maroon 5, Kylie Minogue, and more. So I wanted to give back to the Helix community and show some tips and tricks on how to program their Line 6 Helix Floor. So if you've been watching this YouTube channel, you have seen that I have posted a lot of fractal audio content to program the FM3, the FM9, and the XFX3. So one thing a lot of people don't know about me is I program all the modelers out there on the market. So modelers like the Quad Cortex, the Kemper, all the fractal products, as well as, in this case, the Line 6 Helix Floor. So I wanted to give back to the Helix community, show some tips and tricks, and there's a lot of best practices no matter what modeler you use that's going to help you dial in all your modelers to the best tone and, so that you can use it live, on stage, in the studio, at rehearsal, at home. And, a lot of these transcend whatever modeler you're going to use. So in this tutorial, this is going to be related to the previous one where it is dialing in a edge of breakup crunch sound that it can be useful somewhere in between a clean sound and a dirty sound. Now, obviously, everybody's going to be really subjective about, how much, breakup they need, etc. But to me, when I think of like a crunch sound or an edge of breakup sound, it's something that I can use for maybe like a bluesy tone, or something that I'm going to use if I was like in a cover band and I needed to cover like Tom Petty or something like that. Something that's not full on clean, but something that's like pretty crunchy, but it responds well to the volume knob, responds well to the pick attack, so that I have a lot of versatility out of the sound. Anything from like Rolling Stones to Tom Petty to, blues kind of stuff is generally what I use this stuff for whenever I'm playing live. So here we have a factory preset. You're going to want to navigate definitely to one of the user's set lists so that you can build a preset from scratch. So we're going to go to this drop-down menu right here, click the arrow, and go to one of our user set lists. Now, a set list, of course, is a group of presets that you can dial in and put your own specific sounds, whether you download other people's presets or you build presets from scratch. This is definitely a good starting point, so you don't have to modify any of the factory presets. So we're going to go down here to user set list, and I'm going to pick this new preset right here rather than overwriting my previous preset. So I'm going to go to 01B, double click that, and then you're going to see that this grid right here is completely empty. And of course, the guitar tone would also be very uninspiring. This is just kind of like a direct guitar straight into the mixing board, so to speak, kind of sound. So we're going to select an empty slot right here, and you can select one of these right here. Now, Line 6 and all the other modelers allow you to pick amps and cabs independent of each other, so you could pair, for example, something that you couldn't do in the real world. You could pair like a 100-watt Marshall with like a 1x12 cabinet, and this allows you to get some tonal possibilities that wouldn't be available in the real world, because you would either blow up speakers, or the impedance between the amplifier and the cabinet wouldn't work, etc. So it's really great to experiment with different sounds. But since this is going to be kind of more of just like a basics video, we're going to just go with this amp and cab. And what Line 6 has done is paired an amplifier and a cabinet for you ahead of time, so you don't need to worry about all the tonal options that are out there. So we're going to pick this amp and cab, and it's going to bring you to this next column right here. And this gives you a list of all the different amplifiers that are present in the Line 6 Helix. As you go from the top all the way down to the bottom, you're going to notice the gain is basically getting higher and higher and higher. And of course, the wattage of the amps are also getting higher. So over here, these are like, lower wattage amps. And as you get down here to where it says Cali and all this, these are, the higher gain amps like the Mesa Boogies. Obviously, due to copyright issues, they can't use the real name of these amplifiers. They're going to use, an approximation for that. So to me, when I think of like an edge of breakup / crunch kind of sound, I'm usually thinking somewhere in the Vox AC30 family. And you'll notice that right around here in the S6, the A30, the Matchstick, etc. So the S6, A15, and A30, these are the Vox AC30 style amps, AC15. These are other Vox style amps for the Fawn amps. And then the Matchstick is dealing with a matchless DC30 kind of sound. So let's pick the S6 A30, which is the Vox AC30. this is generally, you know, like something most users are familiar with, where they want like a Voxy kind of sound, stuff like Tom Petty, etc. So we're going to select that, and you'll notice that it already gives you the amplifier and the cabinet. And these two menus right here allow you to manipulate the cabinet as well as the amplifier. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, of course, is that when we select the SX-A30, we actually want to deal with the cabinet first, because in my opinion, the cabinet is going to be the thing that really determines your, your tone the most. It's the last bit of like EQ, quote unquote, in the signal path, and it really determines how your amp is going to sound. Because, for example, just switching between the microphones is going to give you different tonal options. So, for example, if I have the AC30 on the default settings right here, but I go through each microphone, you're going to notice that the tone changes. So you'll notice that you can hear right away the microphone without even moving the position of the microphone. Really gives you a lot of tonal variety. So sometimes when you pull this cabinet up, it's of course going to default to the 67 condenser. In this case, it pulled up the blue bell. And what you can do, of course, is right here, you can select different cabinets that would go with it, or you can, of course, go with the silver bell. And it's going to bring up a microphone that they would pair it with. So as you go through each microphone, you can see, each cabinet, you can see that the microphone that's already going to be paired with it, as well as the position, is going to slightly change. These are all just selected from the line, from line 6, and you can do that like this. So, for example, since this defaulted to selecting the blue bell, let's try dialing it in with that. The previous video that I did with this, it defaulted to the silver bell, and then it used the 67 condenser. So to me, the dynamic microphones are definitely going to be the most mid-range heavy microphones. They definitely help you punch and cut through the mix a little bit more, but they don't have as much top end and low end. But they have a ton of mid-range that helps you really cut through the mix. Now, the most important parameters in the cabinet block are definitely the low and high cut. By default, it is low cut at 90 hertz and then high cut at 15K. In my opinion, that's actually just far too bright. I usually like to tell clients and users, go somewhere between 5K right here and 8K, because you don't need this much top end in your guitar tone that's going to compete with cymbals, it's going to compete with vocals, it's going to have that really strong pick attack, and it's going to get really spiky in your eardrum. I would definitely recommend bringing the low cut down to 8, somewhere between 5 and 8 as a starting point. And you can hear that as I bring the low cut down, the tone gets slightly darker, it just has a little less detail at the top end. So as you can hear, it gets really dark. Now, one thing to listen for is that as I bring this down, you'll notice that there isn't really much changing in the guitar tone between 15K and 10K. So already you're eliminating, you're already eliminating a lot of frequencies that don't need to be there. Now, as you start going from 10K down to 8K down to 5K, you'll definitely notice a little shift, a little less sparkle in your tone. A little less sparkle in your tone, but that's okay. Because again, that information doesn't always need to be there. Yeah, somewhere around there is probably going to be plenty. 7K seems to be pretty good. The 90 hertz seems to be great. If you need a little bit more low end, by all means, you can go down to 80. But for a tone like this, we don't need a lot of low end. We're not going to be playing a lot of palm muting. Now, the cool thing about using the editor as opposed to the front panels, you can actually visually drag the microphone around, and it's going to give you a sense of where the microphone is placed. Now, in standard practice, this little circle right here is generally called the dust cap. Most good starting points when you mic a guitar cabinet is going to be basically miking right where the cap starts meeting the rest of the speaker. This is generally sometimes referred to as the cap edge. So you can see right here at around 2.4, it goes to cap edge right here. this is where a lot of people will start with a microphone to mic. As you move further to the outside of a speaker, the tone is going to get darker. And as you move closer to the inside of the speaker towards the center, the tone gets brighter. So if we start here, would be the brightest tone. And as I move towards the outside, it's going to get darker. So you can hear right there, even without adjusting any of the knobs on the amp, you're already noticing there's a lot of tonal variety there. So if we start at the cap edge right around like 2.4, that's usually a very common starting point for a lot of people when they're miking up a real guitar cabinet. And in my opinion, it's a good starting point for most users. Start there and then move the microphone either towards the center if you need it brighter or towards the outside if you need it darker. Now the distance is going to determine how far away the microphone is from the actual grill cloth of a cabinet. So the further out you move, the further away the microphone goes, as opposed to right up against the grill cloth. And this adds or subtracts the proximity effect of a microphone. So the proximity effect of a microphone means basically adding more low end as the microphone gets closer to the source of the sound. So I'm using a lav mic right here, and as I move it closer to my mouth, you can tell that it is getting a lot bassier, a lot more low end. A microphone on a guitar cabinet is going to do the exact same thing. So what you'll notice right here is that if we put it right up against a grill cloth, a lot of low end. And if we move it further away, and you'll notice that it's also starting to kind of shift the tone of the speaker. So again, somewhere pretty close to the grill cloth is usually going to be a good starting point. All right, so now that we've at least gotten the placement ready to go, let's start dealing with the actual tone. And now for me, I don't need that much gain for this type of tone that I'm seeking. Again, an edge of breakup, slightly crunchy, but nothing that heavy. And the thing that I want, that I'm really listening for, is as I dig in, I can get a little bit more breakup. But if I pick really lightly, it's pretty clean. So somewhere around there, I'm gonna add a little bit more low end, a little bit more treble. And now the cut on these AC style amplifiers is generally a reverse presence knob. As you bring the cut all the way up, it's like the top end is gonna disappear. And as you bring this all the way down to 0, you're going to notice a lot more of that really shrill top end. So I'm going to start with the cut maybe around 5. So right around there. And again, I'm playing a Les Paul on the bridge pickup right now. So of course that's going to be pretty bright. If I go to the neck pickup, now I'm going to bring this channel volume up a little bit on the amp just to give it a little bit more volume. Again, I'm on the neck pickup with my volume all the way at 10. I want just a hair more breakup, just a tiny bit. If I dig in with the bridge pickup, but I can roll the volume back a little bit and get a clean sound. So for me, I'm finding that I just need a little bit more low end, so I'll move the distance of the microphone even closer. And I'll probably bring this low cut down to maybe 80. Yeah, it seems pretty good right there. Maybe just a hair more drive. So yeah, my volume on my bridge pickup is around 8 right now. If I roll up the volume, I'm going to start getting a little bit more crunch. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that sound. And again, this is the type of sound that I would definitely modify with pedals. I'd use a boost pedal or an overdrive pedal if I needed more gain. and then I would back off the volume knob a little bit if I needed just a little bit cleaner sound, or I would switch pickups. So here's the neck pickup, and I'll roll the volume back a little bit. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that sound. Now, obviously, the tone is super dry, so we definitely want to add a reverb. So I'm going to select a blank slot there, and again, select a reverb. Let's do a dynamic hall, and I'm going to just do some quick adjustments. We don't need that much, time. Maybe 1 second is plenty. And I'm definitely going to bring the mix down a little bit. So we just do not need that much of the mix. So right here, it's at 39%. I'm just going to bring this down to maybe 20. Yeah, at this point, I think that's a really good basic starting point for a kind of, edge of breakup. You can definitely like dig in pretty hard. But it has a lot of versatility with your volume knob. Even if I leave the volume knob all the way at 10 and I just pick really lightly. Here's like my, the middle pickup, both pickups wide open. Now, if you're finding that's a little too spiky for your taste, you can always go back to here and bring this high cut down. So if I bring this all the way down to maybe 5K, you'll notice that right there, it removes a little bit of that top end to get rid of that upper spike. So here's at 7K. Here's at 5K. Could be friendlier to your ear. Again, I don't mind the brightness personally. I do want the tone to kind of cut through, but again, every user is going to be different. You maybe have a brighter or darker guitar, so of course you can bring that top end way down, especially if you're using, like a Strat or something like that. But for my Les Paul, it seems pretty good right here. Now, of course, your tone's going to be different depending on your playing style and everything like that. But again, this is a good starting point that you can, modify with different effects pedals. So of course, if I go here, bring in a distortion, and maybe we'll do Minotaur or something like that. This is the Klon. You can... Yeah, something like that. And again, I'm just dialing that in really quickly. I'm not being too precious about what I want. Now, at this point, obviously it's a good idea to save your preset. So of course we can go up to the file, save preset, and you can call this whatever you want. Rosh, Crunch or something. Yeah. And then we'll save that preset. And now we have, basic edge of breakup sound. With a little overdrive if we want to. So at this point, this is a good place to stop. If you guys need any one-on-one help programming your Helix or any other modeler, by all means, feel free to reach out to me. We can set up a one-on-one session and go from there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
I'm falling with you, I'm standing with you, got it all in my hands, but I don't know how to breathe. I'm walking outside, taking